Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we're still following up with our special edition of the latest event, which is the meeting of the Security Council, which was held on the latest development that is happening on the Middle East. Palestine, and also tackled lots of South Sudan's issues. And now we're still following up with my dear guest here in the studio, His Excellency Ambassador Hossam Issa Qassem, former Assistant Foreign Minister to Sudan and South Sudan. Well, of course, Your Excellency, we both together witnessed the first part of the session, which tackled lots of issues when it comes to the south of South Sudan, and the calling for a mandate of
yes. And for the UN mission in South Sudan. Exactly. That was the first part of the session. That was a very positive decision, and the resolution, I think, have been approved, and it was badly needed, especially because of the very important role of UNMISS, United Nations mission in South Sudan, in preserving stability and peace in South Sudan, especially after the war broke out in 2016. After an agreement was signed in 2013 between the government and opposition, and then afterwards the war has stopped, with the UN mission playing a very important role in keeping the stability and the preservation of peace in that very important country, which is a landlocked country in the center of east and the center of Africa, and it is neighboring a lot of important countries, including, for example, Sudan, Kenya, Uganda, Central Africa, and other countries. So I think it's a very important step. The second part of the session was about the Middle East and all the developments that are taking place. Almost all the countries that spoke in that session, which we have watched together, we are talking about 11 countries now have talked: Brazil, Mauritania, Namibia, Slovenia, Iceland, Korea, New Zealand, Republic of Yemen, Ireland, Thailand, and Sri Lanka. Colombia there was a unanimous, in fact, consensus about denouncing the acts of Israel, either in Lebanon or in Gaza or in Western Bank and the West Bank, and also they have also denounced all the settlements in the West Bank and all the violations of international law there, as well as in Gaza and in Lebanon, and the destabilization of all the countries of the region. They have called for stopping the war against Iran, and with all the repercussions of that war on the Gulf countries and on the region and on the whole world as well. So I think there was some sort of a consensus, which is a rare event that takes place in the Security Council. European countries like Iceland or Ireland, African countries like Namibia, of course Arab countries like Yemen and Mauritania, Asian countries like Korea and Thailand are almost in a consensus concerning those acts that are violating international law, that are jeopardizing the stability of the region, that are affecting the whole world as well because of the strategic importance of the region. And of course it has its effect beyond the geographical dimensions of the region, in order to include the whole world as well. The price of oil and the price of energy have risen, concerning or causing a lot of problems for all the countries importing those important material and these important goods from the Gulf and the region. The Strait of Hormuz, which has been disrupted, is almost a channel for about 25% of the world energy, which has affected almost all countries of the world, including, or on top of the list are Asian countries like China or Japan or Korea, which are affected so much by the price hikes of oil and gas, in addition to African countries and European countries as well. So the world is very interconnected, and I think there is now an international public opinion, not only in the streets and demonstrations, but also governments, as expressed in that very important session of the Security Council. I hope the Israeli leaders are going to heed the calls that has been uttered by almost everybody, which we have watched and heard them during that important session in order to come to or to change the direction of their policies and try to reach some sort of a peaceful settlement, because this war, it is a lose-lose situation. Nobody is winning, either on the regional level or on the international level as well.
Well, I think since the war sparked, there were a lot of escalation, as we've seen that. Also, a lot of statements calling for the de-escalation, calling for ceasefire, calling for more stopping the strikes, because there were lots of Gulf countries involved, and they weren't involved. Like, they just been in the story, trying to defend themselves or trying to know what's going on, and then Iran, on the other hand, its alibi is that, okay, you have your lots of American military bases, so that's why we are striking. So, but this session today, what I really admired about is the two parts. First part was speaking about South Sudan, which is always neglected, according to other actions that is happening, the geopolitical circumstances that we're witnessing rapidly right now. Let's say.
I fully agree.
100%.
South Sudan, not only South Sudan, but all the African continent issues have been neglected now because of the situation either in the Middle East or between Ukraine and Russia. Although there are many developments that are taking place in that very important continent, which are now go unnoticed, and there is such a big distraction of attention from those issues. Sudan is witnessing a civil war that has been taking place for about 3 years. South Sudan also is having a lot of instability, jeopardizing the revitalized agreement of peace between the government and the opposition. Mali is witnessing almost a coup d'etat. 2 days ago, the Al-Qaeda branch of Mali, as well as the Tuareg rebels, have attacked and killed the defense minister of Mali, and now the president of Mali is have disappeared because of for fear of his life and attempts on his life, and they are now fighting inside the capital itself. Somaliland is having also dangers and risks of Somalia is having dangers and risk of its unity and territorial integrity after Israel has recognized the secessionist Republic of Somaliland and exchanged embassies and diplomatic relations with it, to be added to the position, also negative position of Ethiopia in that regard. So almost in Nigeria, Boko Haram, which also another terrorist group, is attacking the government and its institutions. Christians and Muslims alike are being killed by that terrorist group. So Africa is witnessing also a lot of negative developments, but unfortunately they go unnoticed because of the distraction of the attention of all global powers from those important issues to the also other important issues, either in the Middle East or in Europe. The Ukraine and the Russian war is still going on after almost 5 years now, with no end in sight. So the real problem now is the fact that the lack of world attention and the distraction of world attention from different regions of the world are allowing those terrorist and rebel groups and splinter governments and splinter entities to play a very negative role, affecting the stability and the integrity, territorial integrity of the countries of the continent.
Well, of course, Your Excellency, there's a lot of development which is jeopardizing, as you said, the peace, the security, sovereignty, integrity, solidarity, unity. Speak as much as we want when it comes to VUCA, but we're speaking now, again, the second part of the session did tackle the latest developments that is happening from the Iranian side, from the Israeli side, and what we heard is that all the countries, they're calling both sides to have a little bit of self-control, no strikes. There's been speaking like, not mediating, but they've been balancing between speaking about the two countries, let's say.
Yes, they are criticizing both sides, but most of the criticism is focused against Israel. Not only because of its role in the war in the Gulf, but also its role in the negative developments that are taking place in Gaza, in the West Bank, as well as in Lebanon. Attacks against Lebanon are taking place in spite of the ceasefire. Gaza, almost daily attacks and daily killings of Gazan civilians, in spite also of the ceasefires, are taking place. 85% of the infrastructure and the buildings in Gaza have been totally demolished. We are talking about almost 71,000 killed in 3 years, in addition to about 170 injured and disabled, 170,000 injured and disabled. The incursions in the West Bank and the illegal acts of the settlers against the civilians there, Arab and Palestinian civilians there, are almost a daily routine. And the incursions against Al-Aqsa Mosque and the sacred holy sites, either of Christianity or Islam, are taking place. We have seen many problems during the last Easter by the Israeli authorities against those who wanted to celebrate the Easter, in addition also to the incursions, daily incursions inside Al-Aqsa Mosque. Nobody can endure that forever. That should be changed. That is having an effect not only on inside Israel or the occupied territories, but it is resonating in the whole world, either Islamic world or Christian world or Arab world, as well as regional and international, on international level, as we have witnessed in the Security Council, which is reflecting the world public opinion now.
Well, commenting on that also, they did mention the Charter 28.3, humanitarian, calling for more humanitarian movements, actually more for efficiency when it comes to international law. So, in your point of view, do you see this kind of sessions can really pressure more on who?
And not alone, but if they can be translated into action, into a unanimous decision, or a global decision on the part of all global forces in order to take an action to deal with the situation, I think the problem would escalate, because unfortunately the leaders, the Israeli leaders, and are not acting in a way that is conducive to stability and peace. Unfortunately, they are very narrow-minded, and the situation is continuing to deteriorate. I hope they will come to their senses, and they will come to discover the fact that it is a lose-lose situation. It is either win-win situation or lose-lose situation. What we are witnessing now, everybody is losing, including the Israelis themselves. They cannot be a part of the region while they continue to attack their neighbors, to occupy their land, to kill their population, and to demolish their infrastructure. Nobody would accept them. And in the long run, this would have a drastic effect on the Israeli security itself. I hope they will come to their senses and understand the situation and know that they are only in the same boat with all the other peoples of the region, and change that intransigent positions and stop the aggression against their neighbors and against other forces of the region.
And I think Israel now is gaining more hate from everyone. Yes. It do have lots of comments. Nobody really speak, let's say, clearly that much when we speak about Israel as an Israel, like neglecting all of that. Everyone speaks, but now they started to speak more because of the economic situation, because of the rapid consequences that had happened to European countries from the Strait of Hormuz and other, of course, stoppage of trades with other countries that had nothing to do with Israel's action or plans or that. So I think the economic situation is pushing the international community more to push further more on Israel, because, as you said, we are all in the same boat.
The economic situation, the security situation, which is affecting everybody, political as well as media, and the public opinion. We have seen about 3,000 demonstrations in America itself a few weeks ago against the Israeli aggression. And we have seen other similar demonstrations in Europe, in Asian and African countries. So the whole world now is witnessing what's happening. They are fed up with the Israeli intransigence. They are fed up with the crimes against humanity and the war crimes that are being affected and became a daily routine, because nobody is being punished. And of course now it's affecting them economically, because the region is very important strategically and economically. The spiraling rise in the prices of fuel, of gas and petrol, because of the problems in the Strait of Hormuz, which is a very important waterway. About 25% of the international energy and petrol and gas also are going through the Hormuz Straits, and now it is being disrupted by this atrocious war, totally uncalled for. I am sure that if they come to their senses, a solution can be reached in which everybody would be a winner, and everybody can have its security as well as its legitimate rights. There was a precedent in that a few years ago under the Obama administration. There was an atomic agreement between Iran and America, and it was a good first step at that time, but unfortunately it has been nullified after the Obama administration left office, and we came to the juncture we are witnessing now, of which nobody is winning at all. Everybody is losing. We have been talking about African countries, for example, who are supposed to be remote, but they are being affected also by the price hikes in oil prices. We are talking about countries which are now facing a lot of problems, economic problems, because of that. Mauritania, for example, Mozambique and other countries are facing very big problems. The main importers of petrol and oil from the Gulf are not European countries now, but Asian countries. Korea, for example, Japan, China are having also a lot of problems. Thailand are having a lot of problems because of that. The world now is very narrow and very interconnected, and you cannot separate, you cannot stay immune from the developments, however remote you may be. This should be taken into consideration. I wonder how long the world is going to endure what's happening now, and the negative repercussions of the Israeli policy, which is leading to losses not only on the regional level but on the global level as well. What we have witnessed now is a clear indicator of the fact that the world is losing its patience. The world countries are at the end of their tether, as they say, and I'm sure that would have an effect. This diplomatic isolation of Tel Aviv is, I think, an important factor to be reckoned with its leaders in order to change their attitude and try to reach a peaceful settlement of all those problems. If they could get rid of their greed in other countries as territories, other countries as wealth, and in their desire to control the region.
Well, all those wrong calculations led to one thing. It's resulted in what we're witnessing right now. As you said, policy, defense, and all of that needs a lot of strategy, lots of time. But what's happening is the opposite. Is they do attack, and then they give themselves pretty much time to compromise, to think, to have a plan B, C, D. So because right now even Trump is being attacked. 3 assassinations, trying to kill Trump himself.
Everybody is losing. Everybody is losing.
And today
the Israelis
the
themselves are losing. Israeli economy now is its worst position. The war is costing them daily $250 million, and in spite of the $17 billion given to them by the Americans as assistance in that regard, they are also suffering a lot. Of course, the Americans are waiting for a congressional election at the end of this year, in which the opinion polls are not at all indicating in favor of the American administration. So everybody is losing, either politically or economically or strategically. The Israelis also have lost a lot of lives because of their intransigent policies. So everybody is losing. You are in a one boat. You cannot say that one country is gaining everything and another country is losing everything. We are all losing because of that atrocious war. I hope they will come to their senses and change their policies. And we have a lot of examples in the region and the history of the region that can support the fact that occupation, demolition of other countries' infrastructure, killing other the population of their neighbors is not leading or conducive to their security. It is peace that leads to their security. It is respecting international law that leads to security, and they cannot expect their policies to lead to their security or to lead to benign or a positive economic or political repercussions on the Israeli level if they continue to act in such an intransigent and aggressive way against all their neighbors.
On top of that, we need to mention today's session from the Pentagon that was conducting $1.5 trillion that was spent in the Iran war up to now.
Yes.
So today, there's a lot of investigation. I guess not just only the administration of Trump that is really provoked, but the whole world, the international law, other countries that they don't want that. They don't want to be an ally with the U.S. They were asked for that, but all of them they declined.
What is more important for the American administration is the fact that the American citizen is suffering because of that. The oil prices inside America also, although America is an exporter of oil, but of course it's affected by the global markets, oil markets have risen to unprecedented levels. People are really suffering because of that, and that would have a very big effect on their chances of winning any the congressional as well as the Senate elections that are going to take place at the end of this year. This is also another important factor in the American administration now, changes of attitude, and I hope they will also try to find some sort of a compromise in which we can stop that atrocious war that is taking place for more than 3 years now, and everybody is losing because of it. And I'm sure that the American citizens, the American public opinion will not accept to continue to lose either economically or politically or public opinion because of their blind support for Israel.
Well, I think the American nation had it because of, in their point of view, that we have nothing to do with your, you don't want to dominate, you want to be more of higher economist. I don't know what he's thinking of, but they had enough because let's speak about the nation there and speaking about the administration. There's a lot of corruption. There's lots of taxes also when it comes to the American nation that they don't want that, and they suffer because this is what was caused by the initiative of the war in the first place.
Yes, not the Americans only, but we have seen today the international public opinion as reflected in the Security Council. We have seen Asian countries, African, Arab, and European, East European countries, North European and Western European countries have spoken. Ireland, Slovenia, other countries have spoken vehemently against and criticized Israel and criticized also those who support Israel. So everybody now is really losing patience because of the totally uncalled for aggressions and war, which led to losses on the part of the whole world, not only on regional level, not only on the parties of that war, but of the whole world as well. Everybody is suffering because of that.
Yes, on top of that, the military attacks, that civilians, they have nothing to do with that. I guess the losses were not just about the American army, the American military, or all of that, whom are already also they don't want to be part of that because they are not fighting a fair war, let's say. They're not fighting against someone who attacked their country. So they had also enough from that. So I think all those pressures, it should pay off soon. Calling the international community, as you said, Latin America, lots of countries been speaking, Colombia, like far away from the U.S. But they will be affected sooner or later if they are not already.
Yes, and even the most or the closest allies historically of the United States have also expressed criticism of those policies and of those developments. We have seen a few days ago, 2 days ago, the excellent speech of His Majesty King Charles in the American Congress, in which he criticized the behavior of the administration when he spoke about checks and balances to the administration and the executive power when he spoke about the situation in the Middle East and how can it affect the relationship between the United States and its closest allies, and also the policies in either in Europe and the different parts of the world. So it was really a piece of diplomacy and important piece of a great monarch which is very close to the Americans, but that didn't prevent him from criticizing American policies, which are leading to separation between America and its closest allies.
I think that was also a response because Trump was accusing also UK that they are supporting other countries and all of that. So everyone is accusing each other because of their, of course, what they want, what their hidden agenda is. So we're speaking more of the whole world, speaking about the Russian war, speaking about all of that. So it's not just about Palestine, it's not just about Iranian war or Iranian-Israeli-American war.
Attitude.
Exactly, we're all connected. So I think this is not just happening in a blink. Yes. It did have a lot of thoughts, but wrong ones.
Usually for a British monarch or a British king, it is not easy for him to speak in public about politics, because according to the tradition, it is the prime minister who speaks about politics. But he spoke in a very eloquent way in order to express the public opinion of the world concerning this type of policies, and got the admiration not only of the world public opinion, but of the Congress itself. Republicans as well as Democrats has given him almost 14 standing ovations because of his reference to the checks and balances in the administration and in the executive powers, and the need to change the attitudes of today in order to keep the peace and stability of the region. And I think it was a very important masterpiece of political speech given in the very right time and in a very subtle and in a very eloquent way from a true monarch. So even the closest allies of Israel and America are criticizing it now. Everybody is witnessing the repercussions of those policies, which are very conducive to very negative results, not only on regional level, but on global level as well. As I told you, the world is very interconnected and very narrow, and what happens in one region, especially a very important strategic region such as the Middle East, is affecting the whole world, and is not limited to the confines of that region. It is now affecting almost all the world countries, either those who are importing oil from the region, those whose security is totally interconnected with the region, those who have investments in the region, and those who have public opinion that's being affected by what's happening now, and all those violations of international law, and all those war crimes as well as crimes against humanity that are taking place for about 3 years.
Yeah, Your Excellency, I totally agree, because lots of countries and the international community, international law organization, for them this is clownish actions. For them, they don't want to be indulged with them. They don't want to be, they don't want to interfere. Everybody is keeping away or safe, or call it whatever, because most of those countries are also close to other wars that is going on. So we are trying to contain, let's say, the situation that is happening right now when it comes to the Middle East crisis, or when it comes to the war that is going on. Lots of threats again, like when they go for a negotiating mediation, and all the Pakistan and Egypt and Turkey, and they are mediating but they still, again, each time provoking, again, the international community by lots of statements saying nonchalant blah from him.
Totally uncalled for the actions. For example, before the negotiations that were supposed to take place between Tehran and Washington in Pakistan, United States have closed the Straits of Hormuz. After Iran has opened it, he has been calling, the American administration have been calling Iran in order to open the straits for the good of the whole world, and Iran opened it, then only to find the American administration itself closing the straits again. What type of policy is that?
Childish.
Everybody is totally confused, and that should be taken into consideration. Nobody can deal with important issues in such a way which is leading to the loss not only of the parties of the war, but of the whole world as well. I don't think there is any positive result of closing the Straits of Hormuz, especially after Iran has agreed to open it, but only to find the other side closing it now and aggravating the economic repercussions of the war, not only on regional level, but for the whole international level as well. And the American citizens are suffering because of that. That's why I think the situation now is getting not in the best interest, even of the American administration and of the aggressors, as well as, of course, the victims of this totally uncalled for war. And everybody now is trying to express themselves in very clear words, either in the Security Council, either on bilateral level, like what King Charles III, His Majesty, has done yesterday in the American Congress, either on public opinion or media. Everybody is now, I think, there is almost a consensus that what is taking place now is not in the best interests, not only of the parties of the war, but of the whole world as well. The world is very narrow, very interconnected. Everybody is affected, and I cannot find any end in sight of or any purpose of what's taking place now, and of all the losses, and of all the aggression, and of all the conflicts that are taking place now. I cannot find any strategic purpose of it, and this is the worst thing to happen from a superpower or from a regional important powers.
So, Your Excellency, how do you see the scenario in the upcoming weeks? What do you expect? I know there's nothing expected because it's all nonchalant actions, childish, clownish, let's say, just name it.
With this type of leaders, it is very difficult to expect or very difficult to predict. Imagine an administration that has been calling for about 1 month to close or to open the Straits of Hormuz, only to close it a few days after the other side has opened it. What type of prediction can be possible in such a situation? I think it's very difficult to predict, but I hope and I think everybody will come to their senses, if not for the best interests of the whole world, but for their political interests. The Americans are having elections coming, and the situation of the Republican Party is really declining because of their policies and its effect on the American citizen. I think if they lose the Congress and if they lose the Senate, their position would be very difficult in order to go ahead with their policies. That should be taken into consideration. The Israelis also are suffering economically as well as strategically, as well as also in on all other aspects because of their aggression against their neighbors. Everybody, even those countries which are not parties, direct parties of the war, like Gulf countries, for example, are being affected, and the whole world is being affected because of that. I'm sure that we are having some indications that maybe there may be a glimmer of hope at the end of the tunnel. For example, the extension of the ceasefire by the American administration for other 2 weeks. It's an indication or a step in the right direction. What we have witnessed now in the Security Council is another step in the right direction. I hope those steps will be accumulated and everybody will listen or will benefit from the lessons of history. It is not occupation or demolishing infrastructure of your neighbors or killing the civilian populations or war crimes that are conducive to the peace or the security of any country. It is peace.
It's 100%. The world map is redrawn right now. It is being redrawn. We're speaking about power, energy, oil, prices,
military force.
Exactly.
Yes, occupation, confiscation of other people's lands. But I think if they are wise enough, they will learn from the lesson of history. If we, for example, return back to the year 1982, at that year there was, at that time it was Likud government in Israel also, but it was led by Menachem Begin. He has made two totally different steps in totally different directions. He withdrew from Sinai according to the peace agreement with Egypt, and he occupied Lebanon. And in retrospect, we can see now the repercussions of the two decisions of that prime minister. With Egypt, he made peace and he saved his country a lot of bloodshed for about 50 years. And with Lebanon, he had made a front or opened a front that has been that led to the bloodshed and led to all sorts of losses for his country for about also 50 years. So I think this is a very important lesson for the Israeli leadership, which belongs to the same party of Menachem Begin. Which solution or which approach is more conducive to the peace and security of their country? Whether it is peace, whether it is withdrawing from other people's lands, or whether it's occupation of other people's lands. Israel's borders with the tiniest Arab state has always been a headache for Israel and a source of bloodshed for about 50 years, and its borders with the strongest Arab country has been peaceful for about 50 years. I think this lesson should be taken into consideration by the Israeli leaders now. Which approach is more conducive to your peace and to your security, whether the approach of peaceful relations, peaceful agreements, or occupation. Occupation will never lead to your security or your peace or stability. And you cannot be part of a region while you continue to occupy your neighbors' lands, kill their population, and destroy their infrastructure, and deny their rights. Deny their rights. You cannot do that. You are going to lose everything, even the support of the public opinion of your closest allies.
Well, Your Excellency, there's a lot is happening on a daily basis. Let's say working international, in the whole world actually. Hopefully everything will get much better soon. We need more of that. We need more pressures. We need a pressing card actually. I think something will happen soon, and we hope for the best for the Middle East, for the region, and for the whole world. Your Excellency, that was so informative. I would like to thank you so much. His Excellency Hossam Issa Qassem, former Assistant Foreign Minister to Sudan and South Sudan.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. We'll have you again. More special editions, more commenting on what's going on and the latest developments that is happening on the national and international
arena. The pleasure is all mine. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was it for this special edition. Stay always around Nile TV International for more. Best regards from me, Shuruk Bakir.